So when I heard Drakkar Intense was releasing this year, it definitely piqued my interest. So let's go and review this brand new fragrance from Guy Laroche, Drakkar Intense. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below and also be sure to follow my fragrance Instagram page as well. But that's right, today we're reviewing the brand new launch from Guy Laroche, and that is Drakkar Intense. Now, I do want to let you guys know though, this is not a flanker to Drakkar Noir, which is the most known within the house, which is the most popular, and everybody's been wearing that since the early 80s. This, however, is actually a flanker to the original Drakkar, which didn't get much talk about, and honestly, I've never smelled the original. I do own the Noir though. Wouldn't say I'm the biggest fan of that, but I do appreciate it and I know exactly what it's doing and where it came from. So let's go and talk about this one, but before we do, let's go over some information about it. So the release date was 2022 this year. It is brand new. As far as retail prices go, they do come in two sizes, the 50 ml, which will run you $48, or the 100 ml like I have in hand for $68. Now, I do want to let you know though, these have been popping up at local rack stores like TJ Maxx, Marshalls. That's where I found mine for, and I got it for a whopping $28 for the 100 ml. When I saw this in store, I grabbed it immediately without question and picked it up. So yeah, definitely if you're looking for this, check your rack stores. The concentration is an eau de parfum, so it is higher on the concentration level compared to like Drakkar, Drakkar Noir, which are EDTs. So you are gonna be expecting a little bit more potent of a fragrance. Now the perfumer is Nicolas Beaulieu. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've honestly never heard of this perfumer. I don't know what the resume is and what fragrances they have created, but they are the nose behind Drakkar Intense. With all that information out of the way, let's go look at the packaging and presentation you will get with this fragrance now. So take a look at this box. It will look familiar if you own like Drakkar Noir. It is a very similar box. I do like the color scheme they went with, like the amberish kind of black tones. I think it looks great. Of course, you have the Drakkar Intense right there, eau de parfum 100 ml. On the bottom, you will find your batch code to authenticate your product and see when it was produced. On the back, you will have your barcode and some information and ingredients. Nothing on the top, nothing on the sides, but just all in all, it is kind of cheap designer box, but it does look great with the colors. All right, so now looking at this bottle, I think this bottle looks absolutely awesome with the see-through glass and that kind of amberish, kind of potent looking juice inside. Of course, Drakkar Intense. On the bottom, you will have your sticker with your batch code as well. Nothing on the back. On top, you do have DK for Drakkar. And then on the cap, which by the way is so cheap, plastic and flimsy, one of the cheapest caps I've ever actually felt. And the atomizer looks very ugly. It has just a crimp and nothing really done or finished. It kind of looks like an unfinished bottle, but that is not the most important thing. Of course, the most important thing is the juice inside. In the top, you have wormwood, coriander, rosemary, and bergamot. In the mid, you have clary sage, lavender, and juniper berries. And in the base, you do have patchouli, moss, suede, and lavender. And this fragrance will be classified as a spicy sweet. So let's go and spray my test strip here and test out the atomizer now. Very nice distribution actually coming from this bottle. It does spray a lot of mist, which is always good. So let's go and remind myself of the opening of Drakkar Intense now. Right off the bat from initial spray, you are hit with a burst of greenness coming from that wormwood and that rosemary. Now the wormwood was not found in any of the other Drakkars, so it does bring it a nice uniqueness, slightly modern touch to the fragrance. It is very herbal from the wormwood, of course. Not getting much of that bergamot in the top, but that coriander, however, does kind of give it a nice spiciness behind that greenness from those two notes, which I'm not honestly the biggest fan of coriander, but the way it's done in here, I actually don't mind it whatsoever because it's not the main fragrance note at all in the opening. It's interesting because I do definitely get some similarities to Drakkar Noir, being extremely soapy, barbershop fougere, but thankfully for me, it's not as soapy as Drakkar Noir. If you caught my first impression of that fragrance that I recorded maybe a year or so ago, maybe not even, you can go check that out. I was actually surprised by the fragrance. I was not expecting a soapy, fougere, barbershop kind of fragrance from what I've heard of it. But that one is so soapy, kind of like a laundry detergent kind of fragrance. This one, however, has a lot more going on. It's a lot more spicy. and a lot more potent. And just has a ton more depth than Drakkar Noir, at least the newest batches of that fragrance. I did hear that that used to be a powerhouse of beast mode fragrance. So if you used to wear that one back in the 80s, 90s, and it was like a nuclear, and now it's not, and you kind of missed that, you might want to check out Drakkar Intense, because honestly, if you like Drakkar Noir, you're absolutely going to like this one no matter what, just because it has a very similar DNA with a slight more modern of a touch. But it's not a modern smelling fragrance at all. It still does have that classic masculine vibe about it, so don't be worried about that. However, it does fit more so like nowadays, a little bit more modern. It's not going to throw the majority of people off wearing like Drakkar Noir, so just keep that in mind. Once you make your way into the mid is where you're actually going to find the fougere barbershop notes like clary sage and lavender, of course. Now, the sage definitely sticks out more than the lavender for me, which I'm also not the biggest fan of sage whatsoever. It is slightly off-putting. I would much rather lavender stand out, but the lavender is still there, kind of like behind the sage, like in second place to the sage. And it definitely still does have that soapiness, just not as cloyingly soapy as the Drakkar Noir. That juniper berries does also bring a slight more modern touch to the fragrance as well. Gives it a nice fruity background, which is very enjoyable. To be honest, my favorite part about this fragrance is definitely the base, because that's where you're gonna find your old school masculine green earthy base from the patchouli and that moss. This is a moss bomb. It's get a ton of mossy qualities from here, from the oak moss, which I love oak moss. I love patchouli. You're pretty much left with those two notes the majority of the wearing of the fragrance as well. Of course, patchouli and moss was found in both the original Drakkar and Drakkar Noir, so you're gonna feel right at home if your signature was Drakkar Noir and you decided to upgrade to the Drakkar Intense. It will feel very, very familiar to you. Now that suede though, I actually do kind of get a leathery touch to it as well. Obviously suede comes across a little bit more fuzzy, a little bit more furry. I actually prefer leather to suede in fragrances, but you do get a suede base alongside the earthy oak moss and patchouli. Just all in all, a fantastic launch from Guy Laroche. I like what they did with the flanker, not changing it up too much where it's not recognizable. It doesn't still have that Drakkar DNA. It absolutely does, and I don't think they could have done a better job with an intense flanker. And for me, I much prefer Drakkar Intense over Drakkar Noir. I could see myself reaching for this one over that one probably 8 out of 10 times. Now let's talk about the best seasons and occasions to wear Drakkar Intense. So I would wear this one primarily in like the fall, winter, and spring evenings, in my opinion. Obviously, it is pretty dense. You do get the herbal earthiness, the barbershop fougere qualities that work perfect during the colder months, but it would also work for like a spring evening. However, do not wear this one during like the high summer heat when it's like 100 degrees outside. It will become so cloying, so strong, and it will just cause you a headache and probably get sick of it. And everyone around you would probably be offended, to be honest. For occasions, this is definitely a casual fragrance. This is not formal. It's more suited for like just running errands, hanging out with friends, hanging out with the boys, that kind of stuff. It might work for a date night, especially if you're a little bit older, of course. If you're a younger guy wearing this one, probably not the best idea. There's definitely much better modern options for you. But just at the end of the day, stick to more of a casual setting where I'm wearing Drakkar Intense. But that's just my opinion. Of course, you can wear this one all year round. You can wear this one in the summer. You can wear this one formal. You can wear this one to a wedding. Do you? I'm just giving you guys my opinion on the best situations in my head when I smell this. Now for gender and age group, this is obviously a male targeted fragrance, extremely masculine smelling. There's nothing feminine about this whatsoever. So yeah, masculine to the core. Now for age groups though, this is definitely also a very mature fragrance. This is more suited for guys probably in their 30s and up. I would think would be the perfect age group for Drakkar Intense. Of course, I'm in my 20s. I wear this one because I love fragrances. Unless you just absolutely love the art of fragrances, you could obviously pull this one off at any age, but it is definitely targeted towards an older audience like the 30+ age groups of guys. So yeah, mature 1000%. Nothing youthful about this at all. But it actually could bring the younger audience to more like barbershop, fougere, mossy fragrances, just because it does have a slight more modern of a touch than Drakkar Noir, which would definitely throw younger guys off completely. So this could be like an entry level, like a door opener to the younger guys to get into more masculine barbershop fragrances. So keep that in mind as well. For performance of Drakkar Intense, honestly, that Intense name pretty much goes out of the window when it comes to like the performance. However, it is intense when it comes to the smell of the fragrance. It's much more potent, but the longevity, I got about average longevity on my skin, maybe around 8 hours, give or take. The projection was slightly closer to the skin. It did definitely project maybe for like 2 to 3 hours pretty decently, and then it definitely starts to settle down closer to your skin and in like an intimate kind of scent bubble around you. So it's not gonna fill up a room. People aren't gonna smell you like, 30 feet away, like, oh wow, what is that? No, it's definitely more suited for people coming closer to you, like in your scent bubble and smelling you. So when you think of intense, think of a potent juice, like a fragrance that just smells very, very potent, not intense when it comes to performance. So that's gonna do it for my review of the brand new Drakkar Intense. Let me know down below if you actually had the pleasure of smelling this one, if you're thinking about it, if you actually wore the original Drakkar or even Drakkar Noir. Let's discuss all that down in the comments below. But as always, leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. And I'll see all of you back here in my next fragrance video. Take care, everybody.